Hello, and welcome to the NNT.com. This quick tutorial is designed to try to explain and show you what the NNT is and why it's so useful. It allows us to determine how effective different medications are for a variety of conditions. Let's start with an example. We'll take 100 people having heart attacks. We want to try a new drug designed to prevent them from dying from the heart attack called Lifesaver. 50% of them will get placebo or no treatment, and 50 of them will get the new medicine, Lifesaver. Now, let's look at the results. 75% of them died if they got no treatment, and only 25% died if they got Lifesaver. Now, let's look a little closer at the numbers. Look at this bottom group here. This is a group of people who died even if they got Lifesaver. This is probably because these were the sickest people in the group. They had bigger heart attacks, or they had other diseases that made their bodies weaker or less able to respond to the heart attack. Now let's look at this top group. 25% of them didn't die even if they got no new treatment at all. Perhaps they were healthier or had smaller, less severe heart attacks. This middle group is the most important. This is the group Lifesaver had an impact on. 75% of people died if they got no treatment, and 25% of people died if they got Lifesaver. All other things being equal, it looks like Lifesaver reduced death by a whopping 50%. Now we'll look at another drug with a little more realistic numbers. Now we're using a medicine called Lessatak. Now in this group, 10% died if they got no treatment, and 8% died if they got Lessatak. Still an improvement, but nowhere near as good as Lifesaver. Again, let's look at this bottom number. These people died even if they got Lessatak. And the top number? Notice we're only showing the bottom 12% here. Survived even without any new treatment at all. And again, the middle bar. This is the group that Lessatak affected. If you got Lessatak, 2% less of them died. Now I want to show you a little mathematical trick you'll often hear in ads or studies, so we can show you why the NNT is a more fair representation of the data in the drugs. Again, same data, same treatment, Lessatak. You'll often hear people saying, this drug reduced the risk of death or heart attack or stroke by 20%. But that's just compared relatively to the other group. So in this study, Lessatak did reduce your risk of dying by 20%, because 8 is 20% lower than 10. But this number completely ignores all the people who did not die anyway. Here's where the NNT comes into play. The next graph, which shows all the people in this next study. Again, 10% and 8%, no treatment and Lessatak. Again, that bottom bar, the people who died no matter what, and the top bar now in full perspective. The whopping 90% of people who didn't die even with no new treatment. And finally, that little blue bar, the 2% reduction in death if you got Lessatak. So Lessatak really reduced your risk of dying by 2%. So for every 100 people who got Lessatak, 2 fewer of them would die if they got Lessatak than if they didn't. Another way to say this is we need to treat 50 people to save 1 life. For the NNT, it's just 100 divided by the reduced risk of dying. You can do this for any medicine, and that's what we aim to do here at the NNT.com. Provide the most accurate, reliable data and evidence about how any drug works for any well-studied outcome. And that's the NNT.